Are you streaming?
No, sometimes.
I'm using that for last year for the stream.
Starting point. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so right off the bat, we need to create a variable to measure our body temperature. Alright, so usually the very first thing you do is always create a variable. So we're going to go ahead and put in a comment for that one right ahead. I'll do my Zoom thing as well to make it a bit easier. Just give me a few seconds while I calibrate my screens. That's good for that one. And this one. Perfect. All right, cool. Oh, there we go. Perfect. All right. So first thing we do is we're going to create a variable for the body temperature. So we're going to go ahead and put the comment in that one beforehand, so we don't have to do it afterwards. So create a body temperature variable. For the user to put in. Actually, how would I better word that one? You can use your own wording, by the way, so I'm just shouting these out so you can word them in your own way. The code is the important part. Comments, they can be whatever you want. Again, the body temp input variable. All right, but anything along those lines is perfectly fine. Okay, because remember, comments are just in your own words describing what you're doing. All right. But anyway, so let's go ahead and begin by entering the variable with body temp. All right, or body temperature, whatever you like. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. All right. I'm just going to do body temperature. Sure. There. Is that what's called temperature? I'm not too sure, but anyway, that's what we're going to go with. Temperature. I'm pretty sure it's temperature.
As long as you spell it wrong throughout the whole thing, it's fine.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter. I could say, I could just call it saxophone if I wanted to. As long as I put it all on the end, saxophone, it's fine. It's just there as a reference for you, okay? Let's see. We're going to do a float input today because it's going to have multiple responses. If it's just one input, then it's just one thing. If it's multiple things from a single input, then it's just a float one. All right. So float brackets, you can get rid of the quotation marks if they open up automatically. Input. All right, another open bracket because you don't need to do a closed bracket afterwards. All right. Float input. And now it's going to say what. Now it's going to ask us, well, what's going to be displayed here is what it's going to ask the user promptly first. All right. So we're going to say enter your body temperature. Enter your body temperature. All right. And as per usual, we always end up with a semicolon and space just to make it look neater. All right. And remember, you always have to make sure you have equal amounts of brackets in your coding line. So here you can see I've got 2 brackets, 1, 2. So I need to end it with 2 brackets. All right, make sure you do that. All right, hold on. Stupid screen thing is messing up. There we go. Perfect. Cool. So that's what you should have so far. Body temperature, that's the variable, equals float input, meaning it waits for a user to input a command. And this is what it asks the user very first. All right, we press enter. All right, now we're going to do if and else if statements. So basically, if and else if statements, it tells the line of code if the user inputs this input. So in this case, it's going to be temperature. So if the user inputs 37 degrees, it's going to give this result. And then it's going to say or with otherwise else if, which means or else. If the user puts in a different number, it's going to give you a different thing. I'll explain as we go along. But anyway, I made a comment here that we're going to do. Create an if statement. Nice and easy, right? That's what we're going to be doing. Creating an if statement. So if the user inputs a certain input, it's going to give them a certain result based off of this code. Nice and simple. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start up our little line. So, creating our first if. So if is the very first one, in brackets, body temperature, so our variable. As you can see, it highlights it automatically, so you can just press tab and it goes through. Nice and easy, saves you from typing it, alright? So if body temperature is greater than, which is this symbol, is greater than. Okay, so if you ever see that symbol, it means greater than. Alright, so if the body temperature is greater than 37 degrees, I think that's on our assessment sheet, isn't it?
Yep.
Yep, the first one's 37. So if the body temperature is between 37 and what was the between out there?
38.
38, easy. So if it's between 37 and body temperature again, because you got to keep putting the variable every single time, less than 38.00, because it is a Python which likes decimal points, so you got to put it with quotes, all right? Okay, so if the body temperature is between 37 and 38, so if the user puts in a number between 37 and 38, it's going to give this next response. So we're going to enter with a semicolon, because it's a new line of code. And underneath it, you can see if you press enter, it's got the line in 6 spaces or 1 tab from the line, which means it's complementing the code above. If you ever see lines of code, like you don't have to type that, but if you ever see lines of code just like that underneath a line of code starting from the beginning, it means it's attached to it. Okay? So you have to make sure of that. If it starts a new line, it's not going to work. So it has to be attached. So we're going to do print. So it's going to give off a value. Or not a value, but it's going to give a response. Does the assessment sheet ask you what response to give? I'm pretty sure it does.
Sorry, I'm blind as that.
No, it's okay. Everyone else should have their sheets up. What does it say for the first one? Between 37 and 38?
Normal body temperature.
Normal body temperature. Alright, so normal body temperature. Normal body temperature. And there you go. Now, I'll do the next one with you, and I'm going to see if you guys can do the same based on your assessment sheet. Okay? So, go ahead and hit enter and then backspace to start a new line. Alright? So you notice if you press enter again, it's going to try and sync to the previous line of code. We want to press backwards so it starts a new line. Alright? The next one you're going to do is elif, which means else if. Or in other words, I like to say it as or. But it's not or, because or is an entirely different type of code. Not different type of code, sorry. It does something else. So don't use or, it's if or else if. Not or, because or is a different thing. Alright? So, once again, we'll do our variable, body temperature. Because it's saying, if the user inputs anything under this, so if the body temperature, so what's the next one? It'll have to be above 838. If it's above 38 and body temperature again, less than, is it just by 1 degree every time?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the next one will be 39. Alright? 39. Decimal points, bracket, semicolon, and you can see new line, print. So this is going to input, what's the next one? I can see is a fever, is that correct?
Yep.
Yep, so is a fever. And there you go. So this means, so basically explain the line of code. If body temperature is between 37 and 38, what there? Body temperature is normal. Let me remember, body temperature is whatever the user inputs. Okay? Oh yeah, we might as well do another line of comment here. Sorry, underneath the if and else if. So, create else if statements. Alright, so you gotta make sure you do that one, because it's a else and else if. Alright, and from this point forward, all you gotta do is this same line of code. So this line here, just repeating it 2 more times for different body temperatures. So if you got your assessment sheet open, it tells you between body temperatures and what they should display. So go ahead and see if you can do that. Alright, I'm going to help out You became late. Alright, so here we are. Easy enough. So, what we're doing now is the next thing here. There's no need to put comments for the other else ifs as well. You should only have to do one, and that's it for comments, alright? I'm going to go ahead and type out the rest. So, what was it? LF. Body temperature is between, what was it, 39? Yes. 39, and body temperature is between 40. Ranz is a high fever. Alright. So there we go, and that's all we need to do. There wasn't anything else. So if I run this line of code, I'll zoom in a sec. If I run it, it should be running okay. So right click run. Yep, enter your body temperature. I'm going to say mine is 38 degrees, and it should give me, here's the normal body temperature. Perfect. I'll try and run it again. So let's say 40. It should give me that mine is a high fever. Is a high fever. Perfect. Alright, there you go. Works perfectly. So, save your line of code as a AT2.3 and screenshot this area here showing that it runs. Nice and easy, and that's your submission. Alright, I'll zoom in again for those who are missing out. There we go. There we go. I'll keep that up there for about the next 5 minutes or so. And then I'll save it as a PNG on my drive for all of you. Alright, nice and easy.